recording and we will get started. So can everyone see the screen okay? Yeah, brilliant. So welcome to Happy Life Habits, Inspiration Point podcast project. And this is series 1 and it's episode 6 of 6. So it's the last episode of our first series. And we have Shandip Shah with us today. And the subtitle is A Balanced Giver. So we will delve into that and find out more regarding what that means. But as usual, with Happy Life Habits, what we like to do is just start with everyone just taking a checkpoint and just using a scale of 0 to 10, but not using the number 7, but you're allowed to use fractions and decimals. Just for yourself, take a checkpoint and just see where you are on that happiness scale, where 0 is not very happy and 10 is very happy. Just for yourself, see where you are. And everyone's 0 to 10 scale is different. If you feel you want to share, you can share. If you don't want to share, that's absolutely fine. The key thing here is there as a checkpoint for yourself, just to be aware where you are. And what we teach in Happy Life Habits is, 1, to become aware of that figure we're at and use tools and habits and strategies and learnings so we can choose to up that number as we become aware if it's not where we want it to be. So that's what we're working with. And the other thing on this is that someone's 8 might be someone else's 6, and your 8 at the moment, when you recalibrate, might become a 6 in the future. So the idea is to keep on, moving towards increasing levels. So that's what we're working with. But the key idea is just that checkpoint. So ground rules, just to remind those of you who've been to the previous episodes, and those of you who are new, really warm welcome to you. And just the session is being recorded and will be uploaded onto YouTube and podcast platform and shared on the website. During the course of this session, if you could put your mobiles on silent, that would be awesome. If you can stay on mute, that would be wonderful. And then when we start the interview process, we will ask you to switch off your videos so that what we can see is the screen. We can see Shandip and myself and do the recording in that manner. And then towards the end of the interview, we will have some time for Q&A. And at that point, welcome you to switch on your videos and unmute yourself and ask a few questions based on what's been shared today. And thereafter, we'll have just a little bit more information about a few other activities going on, and then we will wrap it for the day. And we're aiming for a 9 o'clock finish. So that's the plan. So a quick introduction for those of you who are here for the first time, and just a reminder for everyone else and myself. I'm Shandip Shah. I'm a happiness coach trained in the science of happiness, and through Happy Life Habits, we positively impact people's happiness and well-being levels. That's what we're about. And this is Inspiration Point. It's one of our projects. It's a podcast project, and the remit is inspiring positive, extraordinary people, sharing their journey, their challenges, turning points, daily habits, and learning through personal development, happiness, and spirituality. And this is there to just remind us that we are all extraordinary and we can all learn from each other, be inspired by each other, and lift ourselves up and be inspired through what we hear and learn and experience as a group and a community. So Inspiration Point is based on 10 questions. It's a standard format of 10 questions, which every interviewee is asked, and they're asked to fill out a form, and we ask them these 10 questions. But as we ask those 10 questions, we might delve into 1 or 2 aspects and dig a little bit further or expand a few things. But it's standard questions, which as you hear the questions, you might want to ask yourself, because these are questions relevant for each and every one of us that we can ask to understand ourselves better and ask each other to know each other better. So Really like to thank Raymond James, and in particular Kamal Hurrier, the branch principal of Raymond James Stanmore. They've sponsored all of this series one, all 6 episodes, which has enabled us to share these 6 episodes since October to now. So really pleased and thankful, especially with Thanksgiving this week, that they backed us and supported us with this idea, with this concept, and allowed us to bring this podcast to you. So very thankful for that. As I mentioned, this is the 6th of 6 episodes. Our first one back in October, or maybe even late September, was with Nick Williams, inspirational leadership coach. Then we had Untitled Shah, the Zen pharmacist. We had Chantel Cody, OB, the chocolate detective. We had Sanjay Shah, the emotional quotient expert. We had Vigil Coulson, quantum life technique finder. And today we've got Shandip Shah, balance giver. All of these are people who are friends or family. 3 of them have done the Happy Life Habits gratitude course. All 6 of them practice gratitude. All 6 of them have unique stories into which, as we hear, we can see aspects of ourselves and resonate with. And each of them brings a different angle to the sessions, but you'll see some commonness and some unity in what's been shared. And that's just the nature of who we are and what we are there. So, an introduction to Shandip. So, Shandip is a good friend of mine. I've known him for many years and been fortunate to see his journey from where he was working in NatWest. He went on to do an MBA, got involved with the family business, NVS Pharmacy, and really helped to expand services and products in that area. Went on to do to a few other businesses, and during one of those businesses, he actually collapsed due to work pressure, had a health issue, took some time out, recalibrated it, and worked out the things which are important to him, and changed his vocation again. And as you hear what I've shared there, and as you hear as the story unfolds, you'll see that he's constantly been experimenting and trying out new things, giving, learning, the growth mindset that we often talk about, and expanding in that manner. And throughout all of that journey, he's also been involved with a service journey, and involved with a whole variety of communities. He's been involved with Young James on various committees. During Young James's journey, he's been one of the founding members of 7 of Sansa, who teach Gujarati to the children and have wonderful Navratri programs and learning tools and Gujarati classes. He's been involved with Oshral organization, helped in Shishakunj, and currently also a trustee of Sri Chanda Vidyapit, the Jain school that runs on Fridays, and part of a trustee of Virait, and at the same time as part of that. One of his things is to be a role model to his children. That will come through in our sharing. He serves on the National Professional Standards Body of Society of Will Writers and the chair of the local region, and involved with helping at the Olympics 2020, part of Team 2020 as a volunteer. The Euros that were going to happen this year, he was part of the team there and helping to do some training for the volunteers. Involved with Athletics 2017 and the Modi visit in 2015, one of the 10 people involved with organizing that. So on top of the work stream, you can see lots of involvement in community-related projects and of giving, and that's why we're talking about balanced giving. And he's received the Lifetime Achievement Award given by the Oshral Association of the UK. And this is no small feat. There's 25,000 plus Oshrals in the UK. This award's been given maybe over the last 10, 12 years, and including Shandip, it's maximum of maybe 25 people who have received this award. And it's the community who nominates it and puts it forward in that manner. And he's been a great supporter of the work I do in Happy Life Habits. Like I said, he's come on to the Gratitude and Journal training program. Last Christmas, he bought a whole bunch of gratitude journals to give to his clients and family and friends, and that created a great win-win relationship for us. And it sponsored the gratitude workshop along with a few other people on this call that we had in October. So very much supportive of what we've been doing, and very much a mentor and a guide to many, many people in these communities. So that is a short introduction to Shandip. And at this point, I will just stop my screen share. And we will start with asking that if everyone, if you can, switch off your videos. And if you want to go into view and put it into speaker view, then the screen will be nice and big and you'll be able to see Shandip and myself quite clearly there. And I will start with the first question that we ask, which is, actually even before that, Shandip, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Shailene. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. So yeah, absolutely honored and privileged to be one of the first 6 in your Inspiration Point talks. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's been really enjoyable for me to see, you know, your journey over these years. Like I said, from knowing you from the NatWest days and seeing, you know, the progression and involvement you've had in these communities, and being a real inspiration to many people. So that's been wonderful. But the first question I'd like to ask is, Shandip, what makes you happy?
It's, you know what, it's a difficult one to answer in these times we're living in, but actually, you know what, appreciation of life. Life as a whole is very much makes me happy, surrounded by very good people, family, of course, supportive family, friends. Running a business which has a meaning at the end of it. So when I close off the cases, you know, we'll generally in economics or business world, you're running a business for profit. That's the typical capitalist view. And again, that would be, you know, my view in the old days as well, and probably still would be. But I've realized over the last 8 years, running this business really has a meaning. And meaning when I complete cases, when I do things, hand holding for families who've lost their loved ones, there is a peace of mind there. There is a sense of accomplishment to say, actually, it's very much a cross-border between service, seva, and actually running a successful consultancy, successful practice. And of course, what other things makes me happy is giving back to the society as a whole. That's something which has innately been ingrained by father, mother, family. And yeah, and life as a whole, like I said, is a happy place to be. If you want to make it happy, it's a happy place.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for that. So what are you currently doing that inspires you?
So currently there are 2 strands to the life. Well, there should be 3 strands. The first, the most important strand is the family. That's the first strand, but you know, we always take that as a granted. But the two strands is really running my consultancy, Balance Consultancy, professional will writing practice, which I've done coming up to 8 years now. So within the profession, like you said earlier, I've been privileged to be elected onto the National Professional Standards Board of the Society of Will Writers, which is a group of 12 people from across the whole of the country looking to improve the standards of the industry as a whole. I'm also the chair of our region, Middlesex and West London region. So that's the professional side in terms of what I'm doing at the moment, running my consultancy. It is a business, a limited company business. And the other side is obviously my charity work or the giving back to society. And again, very privileged to be a trustee at Virayathan UK. that gives me a huge amount of pleasure. But I've always said people should only do community work, society work, when they've fulfilled the other duties they have, i.e. to the family, to your business. And then if you've got spare time or a little bit of spare time, do something else on the side, which gives you a huge amount of satisfaction. It's difficult to quantify, Shailene, and I know you've been involved as well, but difficult to quantify the satisfaction you get from the work you do outside of your business, outside of your profession. But giving back, I have certain skill sets which I've used effectively at Virayathan and SCVP, Jain School. And actually, I don't consider myself as giving. I'm actually taking a lot away, taking a huge amount away from particularly those kids I see, just we saw them last weekend at the Diwali function, just outstanding. And, some of the other community stuff we've done, that's what really gets you going. And it gives you the impetus to carry on.
Sure. No, that's brilliant. And just from my learning from the science of happiness, and with my own journey as well, service and volunteering play a key part in people's happiness. So it is one which is an important component to build into our lives.
Yeah.
I would counter slightly to what you shared off, the family first and then the business, and then if there's time doing this. I think there is a way of working all three, but that's a conversation for another time. But
yeah, absolutely.
Having these different components as part of our life and what we put our time and energy into. So that's great. Why did you call your consultancy Balance Consultancy?
There's a story behind that. In terms of my journey, you've gone through the journey about NatWest, my business NVS previously, which is a family business, still running. When basically we sold part of the NVS, and I then moved into wholesale with my other brothers, went into a partnership. The business started growing, but financially it was draining me. And I almost lost everything at that point. Partnership didn't work out well, but to maintain those jobs, we took a decision to give away that business to another company. That other company took the business. I became the number 2 in that company, brought in a huge amount of business to them, but at a sacrifice. I basically, was doing 12, 13 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week, leading up to Christmas, 7 days a week, 15, 16 hours a day. What that meant was, the body was building up a huge amount of pressure. And a couple of months after Christmas, in the meeting with the board, with the main director, relatively stressful meetings these are. And all of a sudden, I just collapsed. In his office, I was there with the glass walls and everything, literally just went down. I had no idea what happened, absolutely no idea what happened.
The body gave up.
The body gave up, but the instinct with the people who were around me at that point was a heart attack. Mm-hmm. I had completely blanked out. Next thing I knew, paramedics had come, taken the shirt off, and the ECG pads were being put on, the machines being put on, all the rest of it. The only thing I can remember at that point was one of my really good staff was pouring water over me to try and awaken me. It wasn't working, but anyway, the paramedics had arrived. The location was very near Central Middlesex Hospital, so the paramedics were very quick. I came around. They took me into the ambulance to the hospital. Sort of started doing the checks, things like that. Yes, blood pressure was absolutely sky high, but there were no signs of a heart attack, okay, or anything like that. It wasn't a heart attack, and they I distinctly remember in the ambulance, the guy asking me, has there been a problem at work? And I said, I couldn't really think at that point, but nothing unusual in a sense. The top guy there was always used to shouting. We always got used to that. And that was the way he always behaved.
Mm.
But anyway, went to the hospital. They'd done all the various checks. They said, look, the blood pressure is sky high. But apart from that, actually, there isn't anything major wrong. But given another few minutes or whatever, this could have been a different story.
Mm.
So I came home same night, picked up my bag, went home, and really the first thing I saw was my two kids were, quite small at that point, and my son just came and just gave me a hug, and I was just sitting down. I was worn out at that point, but let's just fast forward it a little bit. I took the week off. The guy said, don't come in. And I said, I wasn't planning to, but I did take the week off. And in that week, lying on the bed and whatever, you start thinking, what do I want out of life now? This was the turning point. And the question which kept going through my mind was, today I've been lucky. Tomorrow I may not be so lucky. And I kept going through that. 4 or 5 days went past. I was recovered. I went back to the office after a week. But at that point, in that intervening period of that 1 week, I started making my own internal thoughts. What do I want out of life? What do I want out of work? And I started making some notes. And I went back the following week, exactly the same day, got onto my computer, typed out a letter, went to the CEO, and I walked out. Walked out. I said, everything I've given you, you take. 2-3 million pounds worth of business. I gave him all my staff, everything. I said, here's my letter. I'm not hanging around to say any goodbyes or whatever, except to the staff I brought and your staff. I'm actually leaving as of now. Whether you owe me any money or not, absolutely fine. I'm not worried about that. I'm leaving. And family did say, look, take some time out. Take a couple of weeks out, whatever, but you know what you're like. So I put on, and this is the power of social media, and I put on the LinkedIn that, look, I've left my current position as director at the company. And within 3 or 4 days, I had 6 people who said to me, look, Shandip, we want to take you on. This was all in the pharma trade, but my wish list had changed at that point. I had absolutely decided what I wanted to do was, I'm very much a people's person, and finding solutions to people, whatever. I've decided no more buying, selling, buy for £1, sell for £2. None of that. I just don't want any of that anymore. I want to use my brain. I want to maybe study a little bit, but find solutions for families, for people, whatever. But I had absolutely no idea what line that would be in.
Yeah.
And out of the blue, an email came from LinkedIn from the guy who had written my wills. He was a good friend as well. He was one of my patients at the NVS pharmacy in Ruislip as well. And he said, look, Shandip, can we get together for coffee? I hadn't seen him for years. Got together. He said, I'm offering you this position. I need someone as intellectual as you to join me. I was absolutely excited. I mean, this ticked all the boxes. Working with people, working face-to-face with people, trying to find solutions to clients, et cetera, et cetera. I went home, and normally, I obviously have spoken with Mira, spoken with the family, but the person I really get the key advice from is my brother. I'm the youngest in the entire family, but my middle brother, Ketan. So the next day, I went to the pharmacy in Baker Street, which he runs, and we went out for coffee. And I said, look, this is on the table, this offer. He said, look, this is absolutely perfect for you. We know you can do it, but don't go and work for him. Start your own. He said, you're starting from zero, but start your own. From that day onwards, I went back to Daryl, said, look, and he said, look, absolutely fine. I'll mentor you all the way.
Oh, wonderful.
So he mentored me. Unfortunately, he's right now not in a very good shape, but he mentored me at that time when I needed, and we're still very good friends, and he still does the odd bits of work when he was well. He mentored me. I started the business, went away to the Society of Will Writers, who I'm absolutely thankful for being there at that particular time. They were very welcoming. I'd done the course, fast-tracked, and I qualified within a couple of months. And I thought, okay, I've got my own office, I've got everything I've set up, now I need business. So I wrote out, and this is where I suppose the karma goes around, whatever. But I wrote to a few of my friends. Within 3 days, I had appointments lined up already with people to say, look, we've been looking for this. We trust you. Come do ours. And my friends, my family were just starting to, put the word around. I would say that to anyone aspiring to run your own business, believe me, there are people out there who will always support you. And there are a few people in our audience today who will vouch for the same. There are people there who will support you. But where did the name Balance come from? Actually, Pawan made that name. I was looking for names, and Pawan said, look, you were off balance when you started this, when you collapsed. You want to get your life back into balance. How about trying to call it Balance? I thought, okay, sounds different, sounds unusual. I'd done a search. There's no companies named Balance. There was no issues. Just registered it, and off we go. Off I went.
Brilliant. Now that's fantastic, and that's a lovely story. And I know from the conversations we've had, in our social kind of catch-ups, that often you're one of the first people who is called when there's a death in someone's family to be called upon for support, advice, emotional support, as well as advice on what steps to do with that. And that could be at any time of day and night. And I know you've missed various sessions we have together, like badminton or other things, because the client has come first and you've needed to deal with those things. So yeah, it's a very important role you play there of that first point of contact often, and people who look for the trust and the reliability and the guidance. So that's some of the features I've seen, and keep doing those things as you do those. So that's great, and thank you for that sharing. Similarly, can you share your service journey?
Service journey is even longer. I suspect probably well over 30 years. So, as far as I can remember, and this was always the family ethos that, look, get involved in the local community. In Arusha, when I was little, when I came here, I was about 9 years old. I used to always be in Arusha. There was Hindu Mandir, there was the Jain temple, but we were quite big in Sai Baba at that point in Arusha. One of the disciples, actually, he was my mentor in Arusha there at that time. But here, ever since sort of, after university or around that sort of time, and even slightly before, helping out at Oshwals and things like that. But my first key role was with Young Jains, committee member first, then I was vice president of Young Jains for a couple of years, organized some of the biggest memorable programs which Young Jains had. From there, Millennium Project came, and a few years before Millennium, 1997, we started the project on organizing a big event for Millennium. That entire event broke down. There were loads of teams, different places, but my team, the 7 or 8 of us, we decided to continue, but work on a longer term project. And that project was Sansar. And Sansar is named after the 7 founders. I was the founder of the team, but actually there's 7 of us who founded Sansar. And the rest is history on Sansar, where it is now and what it's done. But again, absolutely, privileged to be working with such phenomenal people. And they were all friends of mine. but all came with different skill sets, and I knew the skill sets they had, and we brought them in for that particular area, and it's worked wonders. And Sansar has taken a different, level altogether, probably because I left. So yeah.
No.
No, I'm just
You built
joking.
it, you guys,
Yeah,
put a good foundation in, you put a good ethos in and a culture, and
yeah,
passed it on with the right mentoring. And Sansar has thrived, and it's having such an impact in helping to keep the
correct.
Gujarati language, in this country, in this community, going strong. So it's a phenomenal. It's a phenomenal service. I guess, what's the best word to say? It's a phenomenal project that's been done and going so strong.
It's made an impact.
It is, and it's something very meaningful and important.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate to where when Sansar did its first few live shows, I was able to be one of the clowns.
Yes,
so
I remember.
That's one of my claim to fame.
That's it. Well, we done the first one was with Young Janes before it was even called Sansar. It was called, we'd named it Sansar Creations, and then we went down.
Yes.
And then from there, again, I was on the board of advisors for Oshwal for 5-6 years. But the last 12, 13 years has really been, SCVP and Viraitan. That's where the time has been spent. And it's taught me so much. It's taught me so much, but I've gained so much from the children, from the adults, from the incredible teachers, our committees, but of course, Sadhviji and Acharya herself in Viraitan. It's been an amazing journey, really has. The service journey has given me a huge amount, has made me to what I am today, have made me lots and lots of fantastic people, friends globally. And I don't think I would change it for anything else. And hopefully it'll continue.
Yeah. And through those experiences, you've got involved with, like we said, Team 2020, Euros, athletics, and helping.
Team 2012. Team 2012.
Sorry, Team 2012. Yes, indeed. And involved in volunteering and training in those areas, but also with. Let me think. What was the question? I was going to say. I've lost my train of thought. Okay, not to worry. We'll move on to the next question, and then if I remember, I'll come back to that one.
Absolutely.
So, what are some of your daily habits and routines that support you?
So, typical day, and it is fairly routine day. You get up around 6:30. Always, as soon as I'm up on the bed, I will say my usual prayers, go in, usual shower, shave, breakfast, etc. Drop the kids off to school. From there, my office is only 2 or 3 minutes away, so I'm normally in the office by about 8:15. The one thing which has, in the last 8 years, I've always done is come home for lunch. Okay, there's been reasons for that, but really I felt it's one way for me. My mum is with me, and it's one way for me to make sure and keep an eye on her. Give me a break from the office. Even if I'm traveling, I make sure it's at that time, ideally, unless I'm out of London, if at that time I try and get back. It gives her something to look forward to. So she's done her prayer, she's done her pratikama, so like whatever. She will look forward to it, make something. So again, keeping her healthy, ideally, whenever, if that's the goal.
Yeah.
But longer term thinking is, how much longer do we have? And really, this is precious time. And even if I spend 10, 15 minutes with her, she knows, yes, looking forward to it. And now, she can get on with the evening stuff after I've gone back to the office. And for the last couple of years, well, in fact, all of this lockdown, I've been working in the office, but I always now try to come back for dinner as well with the kids. And mum, and normally most evenings or 3 or 4 evenings before lockdown, I was always out to see clients. As you know, most of my clients I see them outside of office hours, weekends, Sundays, Saturdays. But I try and now do that. So if I have a client in the evening, I'll come home for dinner, have my dinner, and then go out and see the client. So it's a kind of a routine which has worked well, but which is really blended in seeing the family when I can, catch up with them a little bit, see how mum is, see what the gossip is around town, etc. And, see, she'll tell me first thing, oh, this person's passed away, but this person's doing this. It's great that she's, active, and she's really the inspiring one. And, because of that, I've changed the habit. So that's really my routine.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And badminton when we're allowed to play as well.
Yeah, badminton, exercise, badminton, absolutely. And I'm relying on you to, get that back to us. But last few months, I've been in the gym a couple of times a week, 2 or 3 times. I love reading. Reading is a real passion of mine. So before I go to sleep, I'll always read. And of course, the charity work, the Verizon, and work takes up a majority of my time as well. So yeah. This is quite pressurized environment I work in, although it doesn't feel it is quite pressurized in terms of time. But yeah, so those kind of things. I'm working on the journal as well. It's not happening every day, but it's getting there. It's getting there. So
yeah. No, I do remember when you were doing it. You're finding a segment of it being quite useful for productivity and focus at that stage. So no, that's cool. But yeah, just give us a shout and guide you back onto it, guys, when you're ready.
Absolutely, yes.
So that's good. So what's one of your favorite quotes?
The actual favorite quote I've had for a good number of years is, the flame of one candle can light many others. This was on the calendar. It was actually by Acharya Sri Chandanaji, head of Verizon, founder of Verizon, and it really resonates. It really resonates. And everyone in this room, watching wider, we are all that one candle. And you're lighting, you're basically igniting of something to help someone else. It's going to filter out to so many more people. And that quote has really resonated with me for many, many years. And yeah, I love that quote.
Yeah, and it works on so many levels in terms of, the spiritual level, the emotional level, the service level, education level. So yeah, it's a wonderful one. And I remember when we were chatting in prep for this, part of that you were also sharing regarding your role as a parent.
Yeah. I mean, look, parenting, my role, and if I was to pop off tomorrow, and I've always said this, that what do I want to give to my children? It's not about money, materialism, or anything like that. It's a good family background, but really, I would like to see my role as actually being a role model to them, if I can. Of course, they will, I would encourage them to do anything they want. But when I'm doing service, I know Pawan now is very into volunteering, Payal is into volunteering, and whatever, Shishukunj in a big way, SCBP as well. But if I can ignite that, that's my aim in life, that look, if I can be that encouragement to them, I think as a parent, I've done my role. The rest is kismet, nasib, whatever happens down the line is going to happen. But it's really putting those ideas into them at an early age, that, I've always said this, again, we're in the process of university choices or apprenticeship or whatever. And I said, look, whatever you do, don't chase the money. And I'll come on to that quote later as well, but don't chase the money. Go do what you love, and give back wherever you can, and give back to the society who's given you. And that way, that quote is, reminiscent of that as well. That one candle is going to light up others as well. And that's what humanity is all about.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. What is an achievement that you're most proud of?
Oh, Well, you've mentioned one of them, obviously receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award at Oshwell. That was a bit of a surprise. The person who had nominated me and actually to pass through the board, that was a bit of a surprise, but absolutely just stands out there. Finding Sansar, that was incredible, but also, in 2015, meeting Prime Minister Modi, speaking to him for a little while, but being part of that mega event at Wembley Stadium. That will always stay with me. That will always stay with me, for the rest of my life. And a few months ago, I met Gareth Southgate, the England manager of football, at the Euros at Wembley Stadium, and I'm part of the helping and the organising on that. And I was interviewing, but yeah, the Achievement Award, I think finding Sansar, and with the fantastic team, and meeting Prime Minister Modi. Again, he's only a human being, but he's it's a different end altogether when you see people like that.
Yeah, it inspires. Brilliant. And Sansar, I think, is a wonderful one for all the people who've been involved in the past and currently are and will be in the future. It's a fantastic legacy. So definitely one to be proud of in that way. So awesome. What is one of your favorite books and why? And I think we share some commonality in this.
Absolutely. Well, the Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. That was an easy read, but a book I just couldn't put down. Once I started, I could not put that book down. And since then, I've read a few of that author's books, like the 5 a.m. Club, etc. It's an eye-opening book, so well written, but it really gives you that story of that journey. The guy comes from the corporate background, gave up everything, sold his Ferrari, was a lawyer, and he went to search for himself. And he, again, that sparked so much good out of people as well. But yeah, that book was phenomenal. I would recommend it to anyone. It's not a heavy read. It's a beautifully well-written book. So
it's one of Robin Sharma's first books, and like you said, he's authored a few others which are awesome, and his work's brilliant. So
and also Paul Coelho's The Alchemist, again, is another one. If people like that, that's a fantastic book as well. But this one is really the recent good one.
And this one, resonates very much with your own story and journey, but also many other people's, where you're there, got the corporate or some sort of career thing like chasing, and something comes and stops it. In this book, it was, he had a heart attack, you had the collapse, I had my stress journey,
yes.
Other people have had the business taken away, or some kind of challenge or turning point occur, and then some form of self-reflection, some form of deep soul searching, and then finding a way through, and then working that way through, and also sharing some of that. And that it was also one which was mentioned that in the first episode with Nick Williams, the hero's journey.
Oh yeah.
Joe Campbell. It's that idea, and it's the one which is there, in Star Wars, in the Bhagavad Gita, in all of these, where there's, the person's there. There's a challenge. They've got to dig deep, work through that challenge, move forward, and then share their learning. And that's exactly the hero's journey, which we're all on. And that's part of what Inspiration Point is about as well, bringing that message through, that we're all heroes, and we've all got our journeys, and we can all share something with each other. So brilliant. What did you learn from your parents?
Oh, so much. I mean, father passed away nearly 20 years ago, but father and mother both. Few things they've always said to me, again, similar to what I say to the children as well: don't chase the money. Do things honestly, ethically, always. No compromises on that side at all. Value of family, value of relationships. Vyavaharik in Indian, in Gujarati, but value of family and relationships is absolutely utmost. And give back to the society, seva. And those are the few things which parents have always imbibed. I know my mum does, my dad used to do. And and hopefully the generations will continue that.
Yeah, and what you've just shared there, I think really does strongly come through in your journey, what you've shared here, and also, you know, in the people who know you and seen you in action. I think those things, you know, definitely are there. So it's so powerful of what our parents and grandparents guide us and teach us on. So thank you for that. So don't chase the money, do things honestly and ethically, and the value of family and relationships is what we've got there. Our penultimate question: who or what are your inspirers?
Oh, too many people, but usual, obviously, parents, kids, the family are always inspired. So I'm not going to even go down that route because they are always inspiring. There's two groups actually, or two sets. One's groups and a couple of individuals. Groups are children who I've been involved with and in particular children at SCVP Jain School and Shishukunj. You know what people say, and I said this the other day actually, for SCVP, the kids, you know, people say our dharma is going to fade out in years to come when our generation passes away or whatever. Completely disagree. I think with the kids we've got right now, we've really got the lights on our dharma, and they're the, you know, we've got a really positive future ahead on that, but they'll do it in their way. Our dharma, what Mahavir Bhagwan taught us, is still going to be alive. At Shishukunj, what I see is how phenomenal these kids are. You know, kids, 15 years old, 14 years old, whatever, who are mentoring young children. When these kids, you know, are going through their journey, they're still at school. And I've seen, you know, you give that freedom to the children, you give that openness to the children, and what the results are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you know, you see the advert of the Royal Navy or whatever, that I was made in the Royal Navy, although I was born somewhere else or whatever. A lot of these kids will say, I'm made in Shishukunj. And those kids very much inspire me. Individually, there are three people who one has been a mentor for me for many, many, many years. And that's Venibai Harania. And he is one of my, you know, greatest mentors. Is like a father figure, always looking after me. Whenever I need anything, just pick up the phone there. He's also helped a lot of my friends as well. But we have a very special relationship. But the two people who really inspire me are my nephew and niece, Ronak and Vaishali. Those who don't know, Ronak and Vaishali, both disabled. Ronak now actually works for me full-time as an employee of Balance. But the smile they have on their faces all the time, the positivity, despite their disability, despite everything they've gone through, you know what? We've got absolutely everything, you know, in life. And those who complain to me that, look, you know, I've not got this, I've not got this, I've not got this. Look, you know, but they are the two inspirations in our entire family, but for me in particular, Vaishali and Ronak are, and Venibai, I would be ever thankful to him, always.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, and we've seen Vaishali and Ronak in action in community events, helping and being involved in that. And you're right, always, you know, bringing a smile in. I remember with the Oshwal sports days, playing the enabling network related games with them in those. So fantastic inspirations. And here I think the message is, you know, finding and realizing what our strengths are and working off those. And as you said, everyone's got a different strength and a different ability, and we leverage off, you know, what we our strengths and our abilities, and you know, really work on those to shine through. And one thing I do remember you did share when you were mentioning to me about this question was their resilience was the word you had used for mentioning, describing them. So that's a very powerful aspect. Excellent. Did you want to say anything else on that?
Not on that. You've taken the word out of my mouth, because that was the word I was going to use, is the resilience and the positivity, as always. And you learn a lot from these people. And they're my nephew and niece. But I've learned so much. And I've seen them thrive. I've seen them thrive under serious challenges. But with Ronak now getting his master's degree, just incredible.
Yeah, and their mindsets are really powerful, really positive mindsets and growth mindsets, which is part of that whole aspect of resilience and growing and nurturing and so forth. So fantastic. So the last question is, the question: is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to answer, or anything you'd like to share that we haven't covered? That comes to mind.
What really comes to mind, and when we chatted about this, I mean, you've covered almost every aspect of my journey, but it's, what does the future hold? Okay, and I personally hope the journey just continues as I am, work-wise, giving back-wise, again with the children, in their journey. I'm a very positive person. I think the future is very bright, both professionally as well as community-wise, etc. I think there is a bright future ahead. We've been through the last 10 months with COVID and everything, where I think a lot of positive has come out. Despite all the negative, despite all the deaths and illnesses, I think a huge amount of positivity has come out. A lot of togetherness as families, together as friends, supporting each other, all of that kind of stuff. And I think it bodes well for the future. But with the current crop of the young individuals I'm seeing, both at SCVP, Shishikunj, and other organizations, I think if we underestimate these kids, it's at our peril. I really do. Because these kids are the future leaders, and they're going to be the stars of the future, and in a different way, they're going to command the way they want to work, the way they want to give back to society. They're not interested in politics. They want to do the work. They want to get on with the work and make that difference. And I think we've got a huge crop of kids, who really. I'm so proud to be, involved with so many of them in a different way. And, when someone messages me to say, look, Shandip uncle, can I get this and this and this because I saw you or saw this? I think, actually, you know what? It's great. It's a fantastic journey ahead. And I'm very much looking forward to not getting old, but, the positivity that lies ahead. But work-wise, I hope I can continue in this field for many years to come, because I love it. Work is like my giving back anyway. So really, it feels like I'm doing this all day long.
Yeah, and I think what you've probably captured there is, the work you're doing feels meaningful and fulfilling and making a difference to you, which is an important component for happiness again. So it's great you've been able to tap into that. So that does bring us to the end of the official questions. So take the opportunity to say, thank you, Shandip, so much for sharing and partaking in today's episode and today's journey and supporting Happy Life Habits. Now is the opportunity, if anyone does have any questions that you would like to ask Shandip regarding either the business journey, the service journey, or anything else he's touched upon, or anything he hasn't touched upon that you think might be interesting to ask and discover. You have the opportunity to ask that. If you want to raise your hand or drop in the chat function, that would be good. I see Suraj has raised his hand, so we'll go to Suraj, and you can come off video and you can ask your question. Suraj, you can come off video and off mute and ask your question. And everyone else, if you want to switch your videos on, you're welcome to at this point now. Go ahead, Suraj.
Great. Truly amazing session, guys. Shailene, wonderful questions. Shandip Bhai, what a journey. What a journey. My question is that, Shailene earlier mentioned about how there's been a death in the family, then often you're the first person that's called upon and that's called, and then you go and they come to you for advice and guidance. So my question is that, what is it that enables you to truly be there for somebody who is at probably one of the most delicate one of the most delicate moments in their life?
Well, first and foremost, it's my professional duty to be there for them. I don't do the after death sort of paperwork, administration, or whatever, but I have a team of consultants or companies who actually I turn to. But the first point of call is always myself. Generally, when I've written someone's will, they'll say, look, Shandip, father has passed away, mother has passed away. You have to have that sympathy, the empathy, and really be with them in that little journey initially until they've settled down, and then from there onwards guide them professionally to say, look, you need to do this, you need to do that. And then a few months down the line, if the second parent is surviving or whatever, we'll need to review their situation. But it is a professional duty, but it's also a duty which I have to all of my clients. And we have to be there for them. It's not a fee earning thing, but it is something where you need to take that call. You need to maybe sit down with them and guide them through. I've had so many Zoom meetings in the last 10 months with professionals who do probate, that kind of stuff, but they always want me to be in that Zoom meeting, so they're comfortable. So yeah, it is a duty I have, and have to do it. Yeah. Brilliant question, though. Yeah.
Thank you. Priti, you had a question, and then I think, let me just see, and Pramit.
Yeah, so thank you very much for sharing. And I think everyone's going to be saying that to you, so I won't go on about that. But my question is more on, how do you find the time, and more so, how do you manage your time and continue to be a self-starter and motivated? Because there was a tremendous amount to listen to. It was almost exhaustive listening to it. So it's interesting to know kind of how you do it.
Sometimes with difficulty, and I think Pramit might vouch for that when you talk about the meetings and sometimes non-attendance, but there is an element of sacrifice as well. Apart from watching football or the odd news bits, I rarely watch any TV. You have to sacrifice, and I will always put my hands up to say, in the early years of my kids' lives, when I was doing some of this, I did possibly sacrifice some of their time, but there was a reason, and a good reason for that, and they're now seeing the fruits of all of that hard work, particularly with Sansar, and when it's lead up to showtime and whatever. If you want to do something, like Shailene said earlier, you can give up that time and make it happen. I'm very fortunate to run my own business where I can fluctuate my time according to the needs. As long as it's in the diary, then I can, shift things around or make the time happen. If it's not in the diary and something comes up, no way, it's not going to get in. Time management can be difficult pretty at times. It's particularly social and business and family time, but I'm extremely fortunate to have a phenomenal family who have always been supportive on my endeavors, whether it's business endeavors or social endeavors or family endeavors. And I give as much time now to the family as well. So, but the sacrifices are social life at times. So I can't always attend the dinners, the parties, whatever sometimes. But saying that, my genuine friends, and I've got many, many of those over the last 30, 40 years, they are still my genuine friends, and they're still there, and I still talk to them every couple of weeks or whatever. So I haven't lost touch with anyone as such, ever. But sacrifice is one word. I would say a little bit of that.
Yeah. Thank you, Shandip. Gramit, I'm going to just ask you to just hold fire for a moment. I'm conscious that we're close to time, so I want to just share a couple of things, and then if Shandip, you're happy to, and whoever else is happy to, we can continue a few more questions after that, and those who then need to drop off are able to drop off as well.
No, don't drop off, please. Just stay.
that's the ideal. Brilliant. So if you do want to get in touch with Shandip and find out more, or garner him for mentoring advice on volunteering or getting involved in the project, balanceconsultancy.co.uk. You can find him and contact him through that and his email. And if you need any assistance with will or lasting powers of attorney, that's the place also to go to. There. A couple of things off some forthcoming Happy Life Habits events that really want to share. So next week, we have, so as I mentioned, this is the last Inspiration Point episode of Series 1. Next week, we have Managing Your Mindset in Money. So Brittany from Lightside Financial and myself will be sharing this session. We shared it a few months ago at Shishikunj, and we're sharing it now. And it really is very much about some of the things we've talked about of positive mindset, abundant mindset, a giving mindset, and using how to cultivate those and how to use those, and also thinking about your money stories and the impact that has had. So a very powerful session, and you can sign up on the website for those sessions, and it'll be starting at 7:20. It's a 90-minute session next week. On the 13th of December, a new workshop, and it's called Looking Back, Looking Forward. This is very much a new one, which I think will be really powerful. So there's a component there on focusing on our self-esteem and activities to lift and build and remind ourselves of our self-esteem and our self-worth. And then there's components using a workbook and a structured method to look back on the year that's just gone by, capture some of the learnings, capture some of the moments, capture some of the themes from the year gone by on various angles, but also more importantly, looking at the year coming forward and start capturing and planning what we want after 2021, and getting ourselves to be putting our time, our energy, and our attention to that. And that's one of the things pretty as well with regards to what Shandip is sharing. What we put our time, energy, and attention to is our priorities. And if we're clear on our priorities and we put the energies there, then we live a balanced life. And that, again, available to be booked up via the website. This is one which is I'm doing through the crowdfunding for £20 for the 90-minute session, but it will be, again, very powerful session. So invite to that. The happiness course, gratitude and journal habit immersion course, we're about to finish the November one this coming weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. January, we'll be kicking off again, 4th of January. We've got 2 streams, a morning stream and an evening stream. Currently, again, through the crowdfunding, you can book a place on this for £60 for January or for March, or for one possibly in the first 6 months of the year. After that, the price is £75. But this is the course which really makes a difference. It's 30 days of helping to build a habit on gratitude and journaling with all the benefits it brings. And people, some of the people who've just been on this course recently have been sharing how it's helped them through a loss of a loved one, helped them through workplace difficulties, helped them through relationship issues, and just helped them be happier, more focused, whether in a professional life, whether working, not working, and so forth. So really a powerful one, and you can really get 2021 going with a solid habit which will really support and help you. And yeah, I've mentioned those key dates there. And the crowdfunding site available to share. The last thing I want to share is from the back of this event, you'll get an email from Eventbrite. And if you've attended any of the other episodes, you'll get more than one email. It'll be the same email. It'll have a link on there for some feedback. We would love you to take 3 minutes to fill out that feedback form, which will then help us plan Series 2 in the new year. And I'm happy to say Balance Consultancy will be sponsoring Series 2. So it's going to happen. We're looking for people to be involved with the episodes. So forms are available on that email for you to fill out if you want to be taking part. But also the feedback is really important for us to help plan and improve these sessions. And you can be part of the Happy Life Habits community via any of these methods and things shared here. With that, I'll stop there and say, please do stay on for a little bit longer. And Ramit, I invite you to share your question and take the opportunity just before that, really to say to everyone, with it being Thanksgiving week and so forth, really thank you for being part of Happy Life Habits community and journey and supporting us in the work we do and being here today. Ramit, please ask away.
Right, thanks, Shailin, and well done for doing this series of talks as well. I will just quickly reiterate, Shandip, fantastic talk. Thanks very much for that. So my question to you, Shandip, was going back to that event where you collapsed and it caused you to rethink and reassess your situation, your career, your life, and all these things. And, you know, Shailin mentioned also, you know, how in his career and life as well, a shock event caused a reassessment of things. And I think I've come across a lot of people who have had that kind of experience, and it's a catalyst for changing their direction in life. And I've been through similar situations where I've changed direction in my career a few times, but it wasn't a shock that caused me to change their direction, but it was more a self-awareness and a desire to do something different. And I wonder, before that event happened to you, was there something brewing in the back of your mind about changing direction? And was this the tipping point that caused you to go in a different direction? Or was it just something that came out of the blue and then made you reassess?
So I don't think this came out of the blue. I think it was coming. I thought it was going to be a lot worse at some point because of the nature of the environment I was working in. It was a very, very high pressure pharmaceuticals, toiletry sales, but I was the leading sort of sales director sort of thing, bringing in the business on part of that. But it's how you treat other human beings, which is actually emanated into this. And I'd never thought for a moment, even when I'd collapsed, that I'd actually turn into an estate planner or a will writer. It's just when this happened, and it was the absolute trigger point. What the trigger point was my son, you know, crying his head off and coming when I came back from the hospital and hugged me, but also the thought that went inside me that, look, those kids could have been fatherless today. Yeah, had it been another day. And I said, I'm not going to go through this again. And yeah, whatever happens in the future, yes, you know, it could still happen in a different way, but I wanted to control my own destiny, where for the 2 years when I was with this other company as number 2, I wasn't controlling my destiny. I was almost a slave to make it better and better, and hoping that I'll get my shares, hoping I'll get my the large reward, which I gave up all of that, gave it all back to him, didn't want a penny of it, and went on.
I think what's interesting, Shandip, is that probably a lot of people are in a situation where they're chasing this endless treadmill and goal, but to come off that treadmill and to come out of that situation is very, very difficult or challenging, because you've got to recondition your perspective and thinking. And, you know, obviously you were in that situation, and then to have to come out and then reassess and redo things.
It was a brave decision, and starting from zero, and which is what I did, because I'd lost all my money as well. Apart from the house, where I'd remortgaged twice to pay for all the old debts, because I made sure when we closed the other company down, not a single creditor was owed a penny. So I paid all of that through our own family money. Mirrors, we remortgaged and paid. I lost everything I had, but that didn't put me off. What I did was, at least I was here alive, and I was in a shape where I could make my journey. And for some, you know, gut feeling, I knew this was the role which I was almost destined for, because I love people. I love sitting in front of people, finding that solution, whatever. And it just clicked. It just absolutely clicked. And it just went from there. And now, you know, I can really count on those years to say, look, I would encourage anyone. And there are a few people in this room who are watching today who have been through a similar journey, where I've helped to make them positive in their journey. But never give up. And money is the holding back factor, I think, for a lot of people, because they've got lots of expenses, you know, various things. I was fortunate. I didn't have like things like private schooling or those kind of commitments. So, you know, that made life easier. But the biggest thing is your family support. If they're behind you, you'll get through everything. And your friend support, of course. But family support, friend support, if they're behind you, you will make a success in anything. It may take a bit longer, it may take very quickly. But yeah, it was a brave decision, even for me at that time, but I just had to do it.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, you know, often society is measuring success or success by financial basis, but true success isn't financial. It's a whole variety of things. It's the relationships, it's the giving back, it's our health as well. If we don't have our health, what's the point of having all that money?
Exactly.
So it's, you know, a balance of, you know, the 4 quadrants we often talk about in Happy Life Habits: the physical, the mental, the social, emotional, and the spiritual, and having all of those, you know, working well together and nurturing all of those there. So no, thank you for that question, and thank you for that answer. We will take one last question, which I think Nilesh has his hand up, and then and Raj as well, and then we will call it a close.
Thanks, Shailin. Very well organized, so thank you for that. Shandip, what can I say? I've known you for years, so I guess one thing which you probably didn't do justice to, so I'm going to ask that question with the volunteering aspect and the giving aspect. Certainly what I've noticed in the last 12 years or so that we work together, that for every project we worked on, you bring boundless energy with you 24/7, and I've seen that, whether it's physical, mental. So where does that boundless energy come from?
I don't know. When you're aiming for a particular goal, when we want to achieve something, tiredness is not in my category. Is not in my vocabulary, rather. And you know, I think, you know, and I know we think exactly the same, because you've been through that journey with me. But tiredness, you know, yeah, you just go with the flow, and because you're achieving something positive, you just keep going, and that energy is there. You've got someone almost invisible supporting you and protecting you all the way, you know, and that for me is, you know, faith in the one above. I don't know, but energy is always there. And also, you know, to have a stable, happy home life. that makes a huge difference. I think that makes a massive difference. You know, you come home at 1 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to get wife battering you or whatever. So, she'll say a quiet word, but, but certainly, yeah, I think it's a mixture of those. It's a difficult one to answer, but yeah, I think keep healthy. That's the key thing, and you can do anything. You can absolutely do anything, but you've got to love what you're doing. If you're doing it for the sake of, oh, I've got to get this done, I have to do this because I've been told to do it, or no, you've got to want to do it.
Yeah, and actually, thanks, Nilesh, for that one, because it's reminding me the bit that I forgot that I had thought of earlier on when I said that I can't remember. It's where many a time we've witnessed you to be the first person at the venue for whatever event's occurring and the last person to leave. And these are, not short events. You were talking a few hours events, and you're there. One of the first ones there hours before and hours after. So that it was what I remembered and wanted to share. So captured that. Brilliant. Thank you. Raj, would you like to?
Yeah. Hi, Shandip.
Hi, Raj. Keep it easy, mate. Keep it easy. Yeah.
All right. Just be. That one of the things you haven't mentioned, and that's something that that I've actually almost learned from you in that sense, is your courage, right? And there are a number of times when stuff is not going well, but you'd still have faith. It's going to work out all right. Right, and I think probably more, especially in Sansar's situation, when we're planning some event and we're not sure it's going to be successful, or how it's going to be perceived, this and the other. So no, it'll be fine. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Where did that come from?
Have faith in the team around you, I think, and that's the only thing. Sometimes, and actually, the recent Diwali program, again, I said, look, numbers don't matter, but have faith in the team around you. You're doing good work. The only element is, how many people are going to watch you doing that good work. Okay, but everything else is there in place. I think having that faith in your team at all times, and we've been through this with Sansar so many times, but is really important. And always it turns out for the good. Always. And you've been part of that success. So, always turns out good, but have faith in people. Absolutely have faith in people. And if someone is not doing something right, tell them, educate them, because they won't know they're not doing things right, or they won't know a better way of doing things. You taking a leadership role, you have to tell the people as well. No one's going to be offended. Sometimes we think we're going to offend people, but no one's going to be offended. But key thing, have faith in people.
That's great. I think the other thing on that is, have faith in people, but also do the best you can with what you got, and then whatever the result is the right result. So, doing the best you can with what you got is what to work with, and then whatever the result comes is the result. Brilliant. Thank you all. We will call it to a close now.
Shailene, can I just say something? I also want to, thank you for putting this series together as well, inviting me to talk today. But your hard work this year, I've seen it in the last 10 months, what you've done 10, 11 months. And I think everyone should put their hands together for Shailene today. Really. Yeah, absolutely. Amazing work.
Thank you. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it, but like you've already highlighted, there's been a lot of goodwill, a lot of support, and a lot of sharing. And again, I take that opportunity to thank everyone for rocking up to these sessions, for sharing these sessions with other people and inviting them, for supporting the work that we're doing through Happy Life Habits in whatever way you do. And really appreciate that, and looking forward to continuing doing this stuff and having a positive impact on people's happiness and well-being. levels. So you're all part of the community, you're all part of this journey, and we're all in this together to create those ripples and impact the happiness levels. So thank you and appreciate it. Brilliant. That brings us to a close. So I bid everyone a safe journey home. Take care. Definitely, we'll see you again if you can make it next week or one of the other future events, either My Happy Life Habits or one of the other community events that we all belong to and are part of. So see you all soon. And please do fill out the survey, which will come through into your inbox in the next hour or so. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.